I am so tired of you acting like you speak for the people of the state of Indiana or the city of Indianapolis. You do not speak for me or anyone I know. Now listen, you two jerks. Jerks on the right.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Dad Joke Wednesday. Did anything go on last night? Anything happen? A lot of stuff happened yesterday. We're going to be covering all that coming up on today's show. Walz and the moderators versus our guy. That's basically what we saw last night, you guys. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but Iran has attacked Israel. And a port strike update for all of you. All that and so much more coming up on the show. Make sure that you're subscribed. I'll never be good at this. Make sure that you're subscribed to all the things. chicksontheright.com/links. Do that. Also, you need to visit GoRed. I know we had some issues yesterday with the lipstick stuff, so we wanted to clear that up. Visit GoRed47.com/chicks. Use code CHICK75 at checkout for one single Mega Red number 47, Mox holding it up lipstick for $75, or add 2 for a BOGO deal with code CHICKS automatically applied. Hope that clears everything up. I hope.
It is working now. So thank you to all the folks that emailed and said, this is what's going on. Hopefully all those folks are being taken care of individually. But now when you add the 2 to your cart, you should automatically get the BOGO deal without having to put in any kind of code or whatever. So should be good to go.
Yeah. Plus I have a point of personal privilege.
Please.
I get a lot of comments on our YouTube. We should probably start maybe doing like a 5-minute at the end of the show, maybe once a week, where we address some comments or people are just super pissed off, usually things that I say, which isn't surprising. But somebody said yesterday that they were really offended by the fact that I used the term redheaded stepchild. They didn't like that because they are, in fact, redheaded. I kind of am too. I mean, I'm kind of strawberry, and I also am a stepchild, and I have the worst stepmother ever. She's a step monster, the worst of the worst. You can attest to that, can't you?
I can.
She's the worst. So when I say redheaded stepchild, being treated like a redheaded stepchild, I was that redheaded stepchild. So I wasn't saying it to be mean. I was saying it because I lived it. And so if you're offended by that, don't be offended. Don't be offended. I'm with you. I'm with you. We probably should maybe.
Yeah. Well, we used to have the mean message Mondays, and I just haven't looked forever at the mean messages.
Maybe we should bring back on Fridays or something. It is a common phrase, isn't it? It is. Yeah. People.
Oh my gosh. that's a known standard phrase.
People are really touchy. Very, very, bajiggity and touchy. They're chichiggity. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the things that people decide to be offended at.
I know, right? You never know. You never know. It's a new day.
That's right.
It's a new day.
Not to be all like Margaret Brennan or anything, but we have a lot to get to today. Okay. So namely the debate, which we will get to, but we have other things to talk about first because of the chronology of the day. And we also already, because as you mentioned, it's Dad Joke Wednesday, and we already have some thanks to dole out. Marilyn Ayer on Venmo said, "Good morning, beautiful chicks. After watching the debate, I have a heart on, she said, for Vance. I wish I could give his name the DeSantis purr." Kelly Wiseman says, "Happy Dad Joke Wednesday, jerks on the right."
Yeah.
So past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was pretty tense.
I see what
Good
you
one,
did.
right?
All my
love. Alexander says, "Last night while I was running errands, a black cat visibly gagged at me, so I gave it to a Haitian. LOL. Just kidding. Take my money." Curio23 says, "Why do praying mantis eat their partners after mating? To stop the snoring before it can begin."
There you go. It's an issue.
Becky Kaufman says, "Why do the Irish make their chili with 239 beans? Because any more would make it too farty." Dad Joke Wednesday from Dolly Duck says the word
good.
incorrectly is spelled incorrectly in every dictionary. Y'all have a great day.
These are really good. These are good,
Pretty
you
good.
guys.
Pretty
You're
good
stepping
today,
up
for
your
sure.
game. I like it.
Mhm.
I like it.
And then from yesterday, Amanda Barnard said, watching the debate with Aslan, and she says, Mom, you got to tell Mock that Tim Walz is like if you fused together the walrus and the carpenter from Alice in Wonderland. I looked it up and she's not wrong. Y'all got to go look.
We all got to go look. Maybe not right now, but after the
Not
show.
right now, because we're doing a show.
Mhm.
And then she said, oops, I meant walls. I was thinking no balls, walls, and I guess I fused the words together. Let's see. We also have from the Ball Pit crew over on Rumble. Beba said, my uncle retired with millions, a teacher, always crossed the picket line, grateful for his job, wise with money, lived within means, true leadership, would have avoided the strike, and so much more. Trump 2024.
Okay.
And we will be getting to a strike update. And I still hate that guy, that Harold Daggett guy, so much. Yesterday on Locals, I missed these. Minnesota Solar Baby said, Daisy, do you have a Christmas tree out already?
November 1st. It's happening.
She does have standards, you guys.
I know, but I would. Listen, if it wasn't for my daughter, I would have one up right now. But she's like, Mom, you're insane. So I have to wait until the day after Halloween.
Redneck Truck Chick said, I could feel the love between Vance and his wife. Chills. Audrey Krause 5 said, catching the end of your show live from Crete, Greece. Can't wait to hear how JD destroys Walz.
That's really neat.
And then I think there might be another. Lorene Edmonds said, I got out of Asheville late Friday afternoon. It was good. I didn't know how bad it really was.
God bless you.
My gosh, that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And Carmen Wilson Smith said, shout out to the Monday Zoomers. Sorry, I missed last night, but I'm on a boat. Canceled my spa day to go four-wheeling in the jungles of Honduras. Take my change, ladies.
That's awesome.
Dang, that's kind of amazing.
I know, right?
Also, before we get into some nitty gritty news, we do want to remind everybody that in these tumultuous times, especially after yesterday, because obviously world events impact markets and that can have an impact on your retirement plans. And so the best thing that you can do for yourself and your own retirement planning is to learn about Bulwark's strategies. They are friend and sponsor of the show, Bulwark Capital Management. They have a free common sense investing guide that you can get your grubby little paws on simply by calling 866-779-RISK or go to knowyourriskradio.com. There you can get that investing guide. You can also make an appointment if you'd like to with Zach Abraham, who is our buddy from Bulwark, who can really, really help nail down what you've got going on in your current retirement portfolio and give you some strategies going forward. And that's all for free. So check it out, knowyourriskradio.com.
Advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. Any references to performance of securities are thought to be materially accurate, and actual performance may differ. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 24308.
Every single time it cracks me up. I know.
All right, let's get to some things. So beyond just the debate and beyond what's happening in Iran and Israel, there were some very interesting TV news bits that we need to talk about. First of all, from Brian Stelter, big news about CNN today. CNN's website, one of the most popular news sites in the world.
Really?
Is starting to ask some users to pay $4 a month for access, laying the first bricks in a paywall that should, over time, help foot the bill for CNN's journalism.
What? Who pays? Who's going to pay for that garbage?
I mean, imagine being a person that does.
I know.
Like, what?
Seriously, who are you? Raise your hand and then promptly punch yourself in the face. Stop it.
Yeah, because that's messed up.
Yeah,
guys.
Not okay.
Just
not
so
okay.
odd.
It's not journalism.
I think it was yesterday too that we were talking about. We played that Megyn Kelly clip where she was talking to that one Hugh Hewitt about the fact that Trump was planning to do a 60 Minutes interview, and apparently now that is all that's all up in the air because, or maybe not, but like there was disagreement about that. Frank Luntz tweeted that Donald Trump backed out of the interview with 60 Minutes that was set to record this week. And, 60 Minutes has done sit downs with presidential candidates of both parties for the past 50 plus years.
Wow.
And now it's only going to, according to Frank Luntz, it's only going to be Kamala Harris that's going to be on Monday's coming up episode. So there was that piece of news. And then there was a full report from CNN giving more details about that, where they said that the Trump campaign denied that it had ever agreed to the interview at all. So the campaign spokesperson said, fake news. 60 Minutes begged for an interview even after they were caught lying about Hunter Biden's laptop back in 2020. There were initial discussions, but nothing was ever scheduled or locked in. They insisted on cutting out of the interview to do fact checking. And then Harris's campaign had the absolute gall to say that Trump was afraid of the debate stage, afraid of 60 Minutes. And his campaign team, after the last 3 days of increasingly unhinged and unstable ranting at his allies, is clearly afraid of exposing him beyond comfortable confines.
Okay. Oh my God.
She said that.
Hello, gaslighters. God, they're so good.
Oh my God.
They're just masters at gaslighting. It's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, all you have to do is just go side by side at how many times he's talked to people, how many times she's talked to people outside of those confines.
I mean, that she's trying to say he'll only do stuff in comfortable confines. What has she done?
Uh-huh. She's basically saying, you scared.
Oh my God.
He's not. Dude has been shot. Like, basically, I say shot twice, but he's been shot once and almost shot another time.
Yeah.
Like, and you're calling him scared, lady? Come on.
God.
They're hiding her in a basement just like they did Biden. Give me a break. Everybody knows it.
Well, then Trump was asked about it. And here's what he said. I don't even know what the forum is that he's saying this at, but this was yesterday when this all came out.
CBS is saying that you have pulled out of a planned interview on 60 Minutes. I'd just like you to address that report, and if you indeed are not doing the interview, explain your reasoning why.
Well, right now they came to me and would like me to do an interview, but first I want to get an apology because the last time I did an interview with them, if you remember, they challenged me on the computer. They said the laptop from hell was from Russia, and I said it wasn't from Russia, it was from Hunter. And I never got an apology, so I'm sort of waiting. I'd love to do 60 Minutes. I do everything. I mean, I do you right now, right? And you're tougher than 60 Minutes, frankly. The laptop from hell was from Hunter. It wasn't from... So I haven't gotten... If you remember Leslie Stahl, we got into a little bit of an argument on the camera talking about that and other things. And, they really owed me an apology. I'll tell you, David Muir, how about David Muir when he said that crime went down? And then the following day, they released the numbers from the Justice Department that crime went up 45%. Where's my apology? They should apologize. They were wrong on everything. So I like to get an apology. So I've asked them for an apology. Let's see if they do it. I wouldn't mind doing 60. I've done 60 Minutes a lot. I did 60 Minutes twice with Mike Wallace, the great Mike Wallace. He was.
So that was in the afternoon, right? So then it sounded like, oh, okay, well, he's waiting for an apology, which I can't imagine that he would actually get.
No, he's not going to get that.
And then later, after last night's debate, so this was at 11:30 last night, he tweeted, or Truth did this. He said, Lion Kamala just put out a request for another debate because they lost so badly tonight. Again, it's like the fighter who lost gets up and says, I want a rematch. I beat Biden. I then beat her. I'm not looking to do it again. Too far down the line. Votes are already cast, and I'm leading big in the polls. I'll make America great again. And she is incapable of it. So there's still talk about the debate. There's still talk about 60 Minutes. Like, I don't know if either of those things are going to happen.
I don't think
it's all up in the air.
He shouldn't do either. He just shouldn't do either at this point.
Yeah.
I think he's right. I mean, I think he's everything that he wrote in that paragraph. I just think he's right. We're too far gone at this point. Nobody wants to
change anything.
Right. Nobody wants a freaking rematch. And it's just so dumb. And he's right about the 60 Minutes thing. They need to apologize. Why would he do that? I would be like giving them the big middle finger too.
Well, and
So-
you know who else thinks exactly like you do is Elon Musk's mom, May Musk.
I love her.
recounted her own story about her family being on 60 Minutes. And this is actually super outrageous. So here's what she said. Trump should decline 60 Minutes. Many years ago, when the Tesla Roadster was launched, they did an interview with Elon. They also wanted me, Kimball, and Tosca in the interview. We were so excited to support Elon and Tesla. Unfortunately, they edited the segment to make it very negative. Not only that, they added car sounds for the Roadster because they didn't know Teslas don't make a noise.
Oh my God.
We were horrified, sad, and disappointed and rejected any further interviews with 60 Minutes. Stay away from them, even if you have a good message.
Yeah. I love her.
I know. I love her too. She's so classy and glamorous.
She's very classy and also very badass. I mean, she's a woman that got out of like a domestic abuse situation, took her kids, and then she's basically raised 3 billionaires.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, hello, overachiever. Yeah.
Please, how do you parent?
Right.
To learn.
I think she's written a book. I probably should read it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then this is sort of out of left field because it has nothing to do with anything else. But the lawyers that are working on the P Diddy Puff Daddy case, they came out, spoke with the New York Post, or the New York Post reported on this rather, because now there are 100+ individual victim lawsuits in progress right now. And there are going to be some big names named shortly. Here is one of the lawyers about that right here.
But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases.
Will they?
There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
I'm ready for the Kardashians to go down. I mean, surely they went to some of these parties, right?
Interesting.
I'm just putting that out there. I feel like their 15 minutes really needs to be up.
I'm looking forward to the list.
I'm looking forward to the list too. And are we really going to be shocked? Come on.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be shocked. And you should not be shocked when you get your own preventative powder from Coat Defense and try it out on your dogs or cats and find immediate results. You should not be shocked because this stuff is the bomb. This can be used as a preventative powder, which is how I use it on my girls so that they don't have any skin irritation or itchiness problems. But if you have a dog or cat that already has those kinds of skin irritations, and maybe you've tried Apoquel and spent a bunch of money at the vet, you don't need to do that. This powder is amazing. You just sprinkle it on. If it's their fur, you can just do this. You can just rub it right in there.
I put it in Theo's ears.
You can do that.
Theo has ear issues. And so
see, that's a thing. And then in their toe beans, you just kind of spread out their little toe beans, sprinkle it in there, rub it in, and then they don't chew at their feet. You don't, I mean, unfortunately, this is like a sad side effect of how good this stuff is. You don't have the yummy smell. Because that smell is not supposed to be there, like the yummy dog foot smell.
They're not supposed to smell like Fritos. Yeah,
they're not supposed to smell like that. Even though I love it personally,
I do too.
They're not supposed to smell like that. So in addition to this amazing preventative powder, of course, they have a really fantastic dog shampoo, which is great because it doesn't strip your dog's oils, the natural oils that they need to keep their skin healthy. It doesn't strip that away. Amazing products too for humans, like deodorants and other things that are fantastic and gentle, non-toxic for humans. You can check it out, all their products, at coatdefense.com and use code CHICKS when you check out. You're going to save 15% off of your entire order. Coatdefense.com. So kind of a big deal yesterday in that Iran attacked Israel mercilessly throughout the afternoon. It was an absolute barrage of missiles. And so the Israel Defense, the IDF posted a video saying here's raw footage of these missile attacks. Just hundreds and hundreds of rockets. And Israel, like the official account for Israel, said this isn't normal. Every single one of these rockets is meant to kill. This is a very different kind of attack for Iran. I mean, they clearly meant business, and there's going to be a retaliation. And I hope that Iran is ready for it, because it's going to be something. And of course, this meme went around just as soon as this happened.
We did it, Joe.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of the money that they have is from us.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It makes me sick to my stomach. I mean,
Oh
I was
my
just
gosh.
watching that yesterday going, like, our money that you guys made at your jobs that they took and then they sent it to Iran. I mean, it just grosses me out. You can't, what are you supposed to do about that? Well, you got to change the regime is what you got to do. And we were unsuccessful in doing that. And God, it makes me sick.
I know. And Trump released a giant statement, which was awesome, talking about how the world is on fire, how useless this administration has been, how literally nobody's in charge right now, how when he was president, Iran was in total check. There were no wars in the Middle East, in Europe, and anywhere. And so he also mentioned how it's no surprise that Iran desperately wants Kamala to be president, because they know that when she's in power, they can take advantage of America and everyone else. He was absolutely right to say it. Absolutely right.
Totally right to say it. And then you see video of Biden, I think it was yesterday, they're asking him about, what about the hurricane victims? We don't have any left. We don't have any money left. I'm going to have to ask the American people for more money. Why? It's like, oh, because you gave so much money to these jackholes who are doing this, and you gave so much money to Ukraine. I mean, it's like, this is why they keep sucking money off the American taxpayer. I mean, everybody should be outraged about this. Everybody. Yeah. And then people will be like, this is none of my business. Like, what's happening in Israel and Iran, it's none of my business. Like, you just see a lot of people who are just like, it has nothing to do with me. It actually does, because your tax money went to this. Like, they're using your money to do this, to fund terrorism. It's gross. So gross.
And then, I mean, just to prove almost like how inept this administration is, everyone, Biden and Kamala both, of course, were expected to say something about this attack, and they couldn't do it without prepared scripts. You guys, that is freaking pathetic. So here, first of all, is what Biden said when his team scrambled together to put together a script for him here. And then they're so obvious about it, the way that they read it. It's just absolutely pathetic.
Yeah. I've been spent the morning and part of the afternoon in the Situation Room, and meeting with my whole national security team and consulting with the Israelis indirectly, because in terms of their impact on us. And the national security team has been, as I said, in constant contact with Israeli officials and their counterparts, and it's going to continue to be brought to me throughout the day. We're still allowed to share updates and when we get them, and we will do that.
There's just nothing genuine about this guy. And he's sitting there in an adult diaper reading that, like trying so hard to read it. What a doof.
Oh my God. And then when Kamala read her statement, it was even worse somehow, because she was reading it and it seems like she doesn't even understand what she's reading. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, tell me if this, inspires confidence in any way.
Fully support President Biden's order for the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles targeting Israel effective. And this operation and successful cooperation saved many innocent lives. As I have said, I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist militias. My commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, and we will continue to work with our allies and partners to disrupt Iran's aggressive behavior and hold them accountable. Thank you.
She has no idea what she's reading. No idea what she's reading. If Iran's a threat, then why do you give them money? Why does anybody just cut them off?
Yeah.
This is the thing.
We'll
why
have
is this
a little
hard?
bit of a trip down memory lane to see how we got here.
Yeah.
But first, just check out how KJP responded to the questions about, hey, maybe it wasn't such a great idea to like, take away sanctions from Iran. And she tries to say that they haven't, which is just a flat out lie.
And obviously we saw what happened today. They've also have an active plot to assassinate one of the candidates in the U.S. election, which could be seen as a direct election interference. Is there any talk of consequences for Iran in terms of limiting their revenue, going after their oil exports?
So look, you heard Jake speak to this on what there will be consequences. You heard Jake say this. This is an ongoing situation. He had to get back to his desk to make sure that he continues to monitor what's happening, occurring, having conversations with his counterparts as well in Israel. But this administration has not lifted a single sanction on Iran. We cannot forget that. Rather, we continue to increase pressure. That's what we have seen. Our extensive sanctions on Iran remain in place, and we certainly will continue to enforce them. And you heard from the National Security Advisor. You heard what he said today.
Iran's oil exports have reached record levels now. One report showing 3.2 million barrels per day, according to OPEC. That's about $90 billion a year. So when do we cut off that revenue?
We have not lifted a single sanction. If anything, as I said moments ago, we increase pressure.
How can she say that out loud?
Doing.
How can seriously? Nobody pushes back. Where's Juicy? He's the only one that would push back on that. He obviously wasn't in the room because that was complete and utter bullcrap. What she just said, she was lying.
I mean, the total lie is flipping to find the right page in her stupid binder. My God,
and people believe her.
I know. It's amazing. Amazing. And so now the question is, what will Israel do in response? So Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg was on Fox News to talk about his prediction for what happens from here.
Netanyahu has basically said to the world, they said to the United States, we've given you repeated opportunities to bring this thing to a conclusion, to shut this down. And the world has turned another eye. They've said no. I think he's going for the kill. And what I mean by that, he's going to respond quite forcefully. And I think if I was Iran right now, I'd say I think where he'd probably end up going, he's going to make a real key shot. He's either going after nuclear facilities or he's going after the supreme leader. And that's going to set everything in motion for a much wider war in the Middle East. But I think they've just said, the Israelis have said, we're done with this, enough. The same thing they've done with Hezbollah, same thing they did with Hamas. And, to be very candid with you, Sandra, it's probably about time. This is time. It needs to be brought to some type of conclusion. If we're not going to help them conclude it, then they're going to have to do it on their own.
Yeah, quit poking the bear, man. And then what's going to happen is they're going to be like, well, they're fighting back too hard.
Right.
I mean, I can already see it now. When they do come back with the fury, which they will, and they should, Israel's going to come back and they're going to hit them hard. People are going to be like, oh my God, they're hitting too hard. I mean, why are they doing? They're so mean. Israel's so mean, you guys. They're so mean. They're fighting back too hard. Just wait for it. You're going to see that.
Well, and Glenn Greenwald, who he can be very, very right, but then he can also be very, very wrong. And so he and I are in the middle of a fight right now, which I was surprised that he responded to me. But he tried to tweet something about how Israel is going after civilians by hitting all of these non-military targets, which is utter bullcrap. And his rash. And I said that. I was like, this is nonsense. Israel goes after precise targets, and it is not their fault that those targets embed themselves in the homes of civilians.
Exactly.
And he says that is a lie. Israel's Mossad headquarters are in the middle of Tel Aviv. And I'm like, you're comparing the building headquarters being in a city to Hamas using actual schools as a place to shoot weapons from? How are you even comparing the two? I could not believe it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how Israel tolerates much more of that, and I don't think they're going to.
And I don't want them to.
And I don't want them to either.
Don't. Why do you continue? I mean, it's like it's like somebody who just gets beaten up and beaten up and beaten up day after day. At some point, it's like, enough is enough, man.
Yeah.
Fight back with the fury.
Yeah. And then, when Iran hit, and despite the fact that they shot off, God, I don't even know how many hundreds of missiles, their success rate, not so great. So 5 IRG forces were killed, at least 12 injured in their explosion of one of the ballistic missiles during launch. 0 Israelis were killed in those missile strikes.
Wow.
1 Palestinian was killed. 5 Iranians were killed. So nicely done, you idiots.
Yeah.
God. And then this guy, you can't see him, but there's a guy, the Palestinian that got killed is literally underneath that missile. So nicely done, Iran. Good job there.
Wow.
My God. And then the freaking head of the UN tweeted out the most ridiculous stuff saying, I condemn the broadening of the Middle East conflict with escalation after escalation. This must stop. And Israel was like, we condemn your inability to string together a tweet which holds Iran responsible for firing 181 ballistic missiles at 10 million Israeli civilians.
There's always a double standard, man.
God, I'm so sick of that.
I know. I'm sick of this shit too. It's like there's always a double standard. It's always like you can fire as many missiles as you want at Israel, but the minute Israel fights back, it's too much. It's too much. What is wrong? God. Just enough is enough, man.
Trump in a rage about it, saying, look at the world today. Look at the missiles flying right now in the Middle East. Look at what's happening with Russia, Ukraine. Look at inflation destroying the world. None of this happened while I was president.
He ain't wrong.
And, you can always sum up the Biden-Harris administration's foreign policy on this particular matter with one word, as they like to point out themselves. Here they are.
What is your message to Hezbollah and its backer, Iran?
Don't. Don't.
Yeah.
What's the message to Iran?
Don't.
As President Biden said, just don't.
Exactly.
Okay.
One word.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
It was very important to send a very clear message.
Oh, it's clear.
To anyone who might seek to take advantage of the conflict in Gaza to threaten our personnel here or anywhere else in the region. Don't do it.
Oh, super scary. They're so scary, you guys. And then Blinken yesterday, my favorite, when he's like, he called the attack inappropriate. I mean, listen, you would tell you would be worse and harder on a toddler biting another toddler at daycare than that guy is talking about a missile attack. Like, he's like, it was inappropriate. What kind of crap is that?
Oh,
I was like, I looked at my husband and I'm like, he called that inappropriate. I'm sorry, what? What kind of joke administration is this? Oh my God.
Then did you see how proud of herself Kamala was when she said don't? She was like, one word. That's all it takes. One word.
It actually takes more, as evidenced by yesterday.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you? Don'ters.
All that crap didn't age well, did it? No.
God. Well, and then, back to the sanctions and what they have done to contribute to this absolute catastrophe. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, need to remind you that if you are worried about how world affairs are treating you and your own retirement planning, think about adding gold or other precious metals into your portfolio, or at least learn about that, so that when the time comes when you finally realize, oh yeah, maybe that's a good idea, that time should have already come and passed, honestly. But if you still aren't quite there and you would like to at least get information, there's no one better to provide that information than our friends at Birch Gold. And you can get a free information kit from them, which explains everything in like terms that even people who are financially illiterate like myself can understand. So if it's something that doesn't make sense to you and you would like to learn about it, fantastic information that you can get for free simply by texting the word chicks to 989898. Text chicks to 989898. So let's do a little trip down memory lane, shall we? Back in October of 21, The Hill reported that Biden lifted sanctions on 2 Iranian missile producers. That's just one example.
Can somebody send that to KJP? Somebody needs to send that to her.
Right? And then Kamala, back in June of 2019, she said either the Trump administration is angling for another disastrous war in the Middle East, or they've spent 2 years saber rattling against Iran with no strategy and no end game. The president is making America weaker and less safe.
Oh my God. I can't with this.
Really?
Broad. Yeah. Don't
is her strategy.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. And then this clip of her saying this kind of stuff with Rachel Maddow started making the rounds yesterday. What a freaking hag, you guys. Watch.
He's tweeting out, this bravado about, lock and loaded. What does that mean? Okay. And also,
well, it's an implicit military threat that the U.S. is going to use. We're going to use U.S. force.
Yes, it is. And again, listen, as far as I'm concerned, this president is motivated by his personal insecurities more than he is our national security.
Oh, okay.
If this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic in terms of the young men and women who are American soldiers who would be sent and deployed into something that was completely avoidable. In a Harris administration one, we wouldn't have gotten ourselves into this mess.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. Where are we now, Kamala?
Oh my God.
And it's like, this is the thing. I think, she talking to Rachel Maddow, they're talking about how they just want everybody to be nice to one another. You can't have that bravado with these countries, with these terrorists is basically what they are. You can't be strong and forceful with it. That's precisely what you have to be. You can't look at them and be like, don't. Obviously, it doesn't work. You got to be how Trump was, which is what they were criticizing. They don't get it. She cannot be our president, you guys. She just can't. No, what a disaster.
Cannot. And then let's see, back just this past July, there's the headline saying Biden gives Iran another sanctions break.
Oh my God.
And then here we are yesterday. I mean, these things, what they have done is create just complete chaos across the world.
And then they lie about it.
And this is when we miss Trump tweets like this from July of 18, where he said to Iranian President Rouhani, never, ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer consequences, the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious.
Yeah. And Maddow and Kamala were like, that's mean. You can't do that. Yeah, you can. You can. And he did. He did. And we weren't dealing with this bull crap when he was president. Isn't that interesting how that works?
Yep. And he warned us about this very thing just last August. Here he is, just last August.
Crooked Joe Biden just agreed to pay a $6 billion ransom to the Iranian dictatorship in exchange for hostages. This is yet another Biden surrender and a further blistering humiliation of the United States of America to the world stage. But even worse, this decision will be extremely deadly. Biden is giving $6 billion to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, just as when Obama sent the Iranian regime pallets of cash for hostages in the dark of night. Remember? Plane loads of cash. Biden's ransom payment will be immediately used to stoke violence, bloodshed, and mayhem throughout the Middle East and all around the world, costing countless innocent lives, putting Israel, the United States, and the entire world in very grave peril.
Oh, look, he was right again.
Huh, look at that.
I know, right? Just keeps being right.
They
hate the way he talks, but he's right a lot.
Yeah, he's right. He is right. And his team released an ad once all the mayhem started happening yesterday. They were very quick on their feet, his campaign team. This is the ad that they released.
China also saw their weakness. So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. Hamas saw Harris' anti-Israel statements and will use it as a green light to keep murdering Israelis. And Iran thinks Harris is so incompetent. New intel shows they're trying to help Harris win the election. America doesn't need another TikTok performer. We need the strength that will protect us.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Trinoculus had a really great comment. Never give the bully your lunch money. Don't give the bully anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
this is
exactly right.
And that's precisely what they're doing. My God, it could, like, the differences could not be any more staggering.
I know. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, we're going to get to the update on the port strike, and we're going to get to the debate stuff in just a second, but we're going to take a quick break to thank people. Sue Ritchie says, playing cards, the captain was standing on the deck.
What? I didn't see it.
Okay,
do you want to bring it up and we'll look at it? Playing cards, the captain was standing on the deck.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Sue. Usually I'm pretty good at deciphering, and not today.
Jessica Simon says, cow farts come from the dairy air. Take my money.
Love it.
Chasing Grace says, Vance did a phenomenal job building rapport with Walz. Walz left confused, liking Vance. Vance is the GOAT.
I think Walz is going to vote for him.
Alexander says, ever heard of detox ice cream? Word on the street is it's the shit. I've been holding that joke in since last week. Thank you to Myers 1999. Appreciate it. Tina Fasci says, why did the financial planner quit his job? Because he was losing interest.
Oh,
not bad.
I like it.
Ashley Thompson, thank you. And Emily Craig says, cow farts come from the derriere. You'll be in my pocket for later. Busy meeting day, but I had to share this gem. Oh, sorry that you were second on that one.
I
know. Kim Holtzman says, regarding Trump being strong, my son was stationed in Korea when Rocket Man was launching rockets. Trump went to Korea, snatched that fat little dictator's hand, told him what's up, and the rockets stopped.
Isn't that interesting?
Not wrong.
And they're like, they're best friends. No, they're not.
K Gailey 210 says Walz is Mr. Hall from the movie Clueless, a total useful idiot. I would argue that he's a useless idiot. I don't think he's particularly useful in any way.
Yeah.
Judy Flood says, what's the leading cause of dry skin? Towels.
Okay. Okay.
Becky Kaufman said, GoRed Cosmetics customer service did reach out to me and they are awesome. Yay. That's fantastic.
That's good to hear. Yay.
Oh, Suki says, I wonder if all the money the Communist Party regime sent them was to pay them to kill Trump and the Jews. Yeah. Donna Rogers said, can KGP stand up straight when she's speaking? It kills me when she leans on the lectern. She's a leaning liar. So unprofessional. And Barry Perales said, celebrating Rosh Hashanah tonight, praying for a peaceful and safe new year. I'm hoping we all feel safe to express our Judaism on college campus and all over the world.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So yesterday we talked about the port strike. We showed that video of the ILA president, Harold Daggett, who's a monster, and he was a monster yesterday on the picket line. Here he is being his monster mobster self.
The weekend, the past
Secretary of Labor, Julie Sue, has been terrific. She's knocking down doors. She's trying to stop this. She's trying to get us to a media where we can have a fair negotiations.
Fair.
It's the companies that don't want to. They don't want to sit here and be fair. So that's why we're out here fighting for our livelihood.
What more from the automation do you want? What more protections could there be?
What more?
Yeah, they have language in there now.
Not strong enough, because what happens is they come in with new technology. We just caught them in Mobile, Alabama, called Autogate. And that means the trucks are coming in and they're already checked in somewhere else and not using the checkers in the ILA. Circumventing the contract. They don't care. They don't care. It's not fair. And if we don't put our foot down now, they would like to run over us, and we're not going to allow that.
You are going to grind the economy to a halt here on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast.
No, not us. They are. Don't spin it now because you're Fox News. They're going to drive it.
But are you worried?
They're going to drive it.
Are you worried that this strike...
They have the capital to settle this thing.
Are you worried that this strike is going to hurt the everyday American, the farmers that need to reach the export market? They're telling me that they're going to hurt through all of this.
Now you start to realize who the longshoremen are, right?
God,
people never gave a about us until now, when they finally realized that the chain is being broke now. Cars won't come in. Food won't come in. Clothing won't come in. You know how many people depend on our jobs? Half the world. And it's time for them and time for Washington to put so much pressure on them to take care of us, because we took care of them, and we're here 135 years and brought them where they are today, and they don't want to share.
Oh my God. It's not fair.
Absolutely
I make
$700,000
a year. I make. It's not fair. I have a yacht. It's not fair. I hate him. I hate him.
I was seeing TikToks from conservative Trump supporters whose family members are ILA defending this insanity.
They're
and
crazy.
I was like, they're so short-sighted.
Yeah.
And it makes it, everything about what they're doing right now is so freaking insane and terrible for the country. There was a tweet from Bill D'Alessandro that I want you to read. Will you read it? I'm too angry.
Yeah, I'll read it. Hold on. Oh, we don't want much, just a 77% pay increase and a contractual ban on automation forever at all U.S. ports. Oh my God, I can't. The Longshoremen's Union is a vampire squid on our economy, and their pending strike will absolutely increase the cost of everything from cars to asparagus. 150,000 pounds of asparagus will fly in from Peru that would usually arrive by ocean to avoid the risk of the vegetables getting stuck at sea and rotting. Air freight is 4 times more expensive and will add about 50 cents a pound to the cost of asparagus. Oh my God. U.S. ports are already about half as efficient as leading international ports because the longshoremen have been blocking efforts to implement automation for years. The cost of that inefficiency is passed along to consumers every day, and the union is now striking to make it even worse. This is rent-seeking of the worst kind, a regressive tax on low-income consumers who spend the highest portion of their earnings on goods impacted by these costs, and we should absolutely not tolerate it. Yeah, this is why I said yesterday, replace them all with illegals, because they voted for that crap anyway. Replace them all. They're all replaceable.
No, you know what they need to do is replace them with the freaking automation that these bastards have been trying to prevent. And they're all like, you should care about us. Why? AI is going to replace a zillion jobs, and you don't see people strangle holding the entire United States for their singular jobs.
And does he
These
care
people
about
are
us?
entitled asshats. And I saw this video of how the Chinese have completely overtaken us in efficiencies and technology, and they are preventing us from actually improving how we operate. That's what these longshoremen are doing, and you will not convince me otherwise. And especially when you see the difference between us and how China's ports works, this video blew my mind, and it made me even madder at that asshole. I'm sorry for all my cussing.
This is the world's largest automated container terminal.
Wow.
Also hailed as the pioneer of intelligent unmanned ports worldwide.
Unreal.
A colossal feat engineered by China with a staggering investment of $70 billion. Brace yourselves for the mind-boggling spectacle of the Shanghai Yangshan Deepwater Port, aptly nicknamed the Devil's Dock. Behold, it boasts not just 30 berths accommodating behemoth cargo ships, but also an annual throughput surpassing a staggering 47.3 million standard containers, outshining the combined throughput of all ports in the United States. But that's not all. The entire port operates on the cutting-edge prowess of 5G technology, enabling feats like unmanned navigation, path optimization, and automated obstacle avoidance. Every autonomous guiding vehicle prowling the port is equipped with high-capacity lithium batteries, ensuring a relentless 8-hour operation on a single charge. But here's the kicker. These intelligent beasts come with self-diagnostic capability and battery monitoring, ensuring that cargo remains on the move without any hiccups or unforeseen bottlenecks. It's a mesmerizing sight, a meticulously choreographed performance where not a soul is in sight. The whole operation appears to be under the spell of enchantment, an intricate symphony of containers being loaded, unloaded, and seamlessly transferred, all orchestrated by fully automated, intelligent machinery. It's like a marvel straight out of a futuristic blockbuster. From dusk till dawn, 365 days a year, the port operates with unwavering efficiency, resembling a relentless magical force at play. And the cherry on top? This powerhouse's operational prowess has secured its position as the world's top performer for a solid decade.
But we don't want that, apparently.
I mean, everybody's replaceable. And this guy thinks he's not. So, and he thinks his men are not. So I guess we'll see, because everybody is replaceable. I mean,
I cannot believe that they are being this selfish.
It's arrogant.
Disgusting.
It is incredible arrogance. And it's entitlement that it's crazy entitlement. It's crazy when this guy makes that much money and he's like, 77% raise. Who asked for a 77% raise, especially in this economy?
And then on top of that, they're demanding that there never be automation. Why would we not want progress that makes things get here more efficiently? Why would we not want that?
Well, because he is insecure. Because he is totally insecure about, losing his gravy train. That's what he's insecure about. He wants to always make that much money. Mm-hmm. And he knows that it's like, if God forbid, he ever has to go and improve and do something else or learn another skill or learn another trade. And the guy is incapable of doing that. I mean, that's, like I said, everybody's replaceable. And he knows that he is. Deep down, he knows he is. And he's freaking out. So that's that.
All right. I need to calm down. And I'm not going to calm down by talking about the debate, but that's what we're going to talk about next. So let's do that. And let's kick it off with this absolutely stereotypical leader of the college Democrats. I don't even remember what university, but MSNBC was talking to college Democrats to get a preview of how they thought last night's debate was going to go. You couldn't script it better than this.
Democrats, you're the president of College Democrats.
Yep, that's
how you feeling about the enthusiasm? Your name and how you feeling?
My name is Rose, and I'm feeling great. This is going to be a great debate. Oh, sorry, I touched you there. I'm so enthusiastic. Walz is going to do so well.
All right, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. I really appreciate talking to you guys, Rachel.
That's a man.
Yes,
it is. That's a man, baby. Oh my God. I cannot.
Oh my gosh. All right. I have no idea. I think I have this pretty much in chronological order, so we'll talk through it as we go. But it kicked off with the question, right? There was no opening statements, right? And
it was weird.
It was weird. And they kicked it off immediately by kind of talking about Iran and Israel and like just and the hurricanes, like all kind of shushed together. Mm-hmm. And so Tim Walz went first, and you could tell right out of the gate that he was absolutely mortified and petrified and terrified.
Yeah, he was terrified.
And not keeping up with like his memorized lines and very, very confused. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see that first, and then we'll get to how Vance kicked everything off.
On Iran, you have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop the incoming attack. But what
this was one of my favorite memes of the night.
I know. I posted those. I posted those exact pictures on our Instagram. Yeah.
Because Vance was keeping a watch of the clock, obviously, but that look that he gave every time he did it was just like, this guy is a moron.
He's full of crap. He's lying, or he's full of crap. I just wish you would have called him out more. I mean,
well, he was in a predicament, because the whole goal for him was to not look too mean and not look too elitist.
Right.
So he had to show people that he was likable and warm and kind.
You're talking about Vance, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Vance. And so then we ended up with not getting as much of the bulldog as
zingers
we would have liked.
The zingers. Yeah. I think that's genuinely how he is.
Yeah.
I think he's a really nice guy. I think he is a super nice, warm, friendly guy. And he really is empathetic to people, and he's good, and he has a great heart. And that's who he is as a person. He has a calm disposition. He kind of reminds me of our son. He's like this all the time. And like if he were in a fight, he would want to calm people down and not like go bulldog on them. And I love that about him. I do. But then there's a part of me where I guess I'm so used to the fighting at this point.
Right.
I'm used to it. And so, and there's a part of me where there are places last night during the debate where I'm like, but you could have said this and you could have said that and you could have gone for the jugular on this. You could have brought this up. Like, the stolen valor thing was never brought up. I feel like that was a missed opportunity because of what he did in the military and what Walz did not do. And I feel like those two I would have loved to have seen that and I didn't see it. And
the flip-flopping on fracking. That was another thing that I was just like, what? How are you not bringing up all the flip-flopping and all the stuff? Yeah, it was very civilized, which part of me really loved because this is how debates used to be. And I was just like, man, there's so much decorum and it's so dignified. And I like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like itching for Vance to get in some
zingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think Vance won hands down.
Totally. Without question, he won hands down. But I do think that there were some he could have gone for the jugular a couple times. And I'm like, come on.
When he kicked off the answer to the question, which was the same for him, Walz was asked that first about Israel and Iran and how Israel should respond and should there be an immediate response. And so Vance was asked the same question and he had his 2 minutes. And when he started off talking about how he grew up, I literally thought he was making fun of Kamala at first. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. He's making fun of how she answers every question with growing up in the middle class. But it was serious. Like he was genuinely just trying to get people to understand who he is.
Right.
And he did ultimately answer the question. And I thought it was very effective. He actually got people to know who he is a little bit and answer the question.
I thought so too.
It was really, really good. If you missed it, here it is.
I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are.
Yeah.
I was raised in a working class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me. And she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
He was such a good pick. Trump picked the best person for this job. I just can't think of another person who would have been better. I can't. I'm sure there are people who disagree with me, but he's brilliant. He's calm. He's dignified. He outclasses Walz in every way. Just outclasses him.
That's so funny because that was my title. Can you see that?
Really?
Walz
oh, no.
Outclassed.
Oh, my God. Is it really? That's so... God, we brain share. But it's
know, right?
but he totally does. He absolutely does in every single way. Like and I love that because listen, I know a lot of people think that Trump is harsh. He can be very Trumpy, you know? Right. And honestly, I think that when he chose a VP, when he chooses any VP, when he chooses a running mate, because he's done it before, he likes to find somebody who balances him. And Vance is he's a great balance for him, but I think he's exponentially better than Pence.
Oh, yeah. Without
exponentially.
Question.
Yeah.
Without question.
Mhm.
He did get in this zinger, which I really appreciated, reminding everyone, hey, you're currently, like, your running mate is currently in charge.
You yourself just said Iran is as close to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been. And Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump. Who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your running mate, not mine.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
So great. It's so true. And he said that a couple times. He got that in a couple times. Where it's like, why hasn't she done it?
Right.
She's had 3.5 years to do it. She's a big fat loser. I mean, he didn't say that, but paraphrasing, of course. I would have said that, but he didn't say that. Yeah.
Then, and we haven't even gotten to the moderator. I was literally screaming with rage at Margaret Brennan. She is the biggest hag on the planet. And we'll get to her ridiculousness in a second, but it started with JD Vance talking about border issues and specifically Springfield, and then mayhem broke out. So we'll kick it off with Vance's fantastic, by the way, answer about the border.
Look, I think what Tim said just doesn't pass the smell test. For 3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl coming into our country. And now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation. The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford health care, schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president again.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this okay? So this might be, hang on.
Governor Walz brought up.
Okay, so he continues to, this is where he talks about Springfield. Okay, so he's still, this is still the same conversation, but this is when it gets scrappy.
The community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Okay. So in this next moment, the moderators who were not going to fact check all of a sudden decided to fact check incorrectly what Vance has said about the status, the legal or illegal status of all of those Haitian migrants in Springfield. And then Margaret Brennan freaking tries to cut him off.
Oh my God, they did. And then they cut the mics.
Yeah.
Mock.
I could not believe it. I was
Infuriating.
losing my mind. And by the way, before we even show that, why everybody knew what the time constraints are and they fit into them just fine. Like Vance would finish an answer and every single time they would say, "Senator, your time is up," as if he was still trying to talk when he was done. Like, why did they say it? And constantly she was saying, well, we just have so much to get to. You would have gotten to a lot more shit if you would have stopped saying that.
And if they would have spent the appropriate amount of time on each thing, like they spent an inordinate amount of time on January 6th. I was like,
God,
can we move on now? Like,
an abortion.
Yeah, like we get it. You guys really like these two topics and you want to spend a ridiculous amount of time on these two topics because they're liberal talking points and we get it. Okay. I mean, it was another debate where the moderators are liberal. Like we get it. We know whose side you're on. And it was the 3 against 1. Again, it was obvious to anybody with half a brain. That's what was happening there. And you get to the point where you're just like, here we go again.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing this again. But he was good about at least fighting back a little bit. And when they cut him off, all of us, I'm sure we're in the audience, like at least the television viewing. I was too. I was just like, we're doing this again. We're doing this crap again. Oh my God. they're such Karens, these two, which I hate. I hate using that word, but they were Karens. They were ridiculous. They weren't fair to him, and they were fact checking him and not fact checking Walz. And so it's the same crap, different day. But I think, but Vance handled it in a glorious way.
The other problem that they kept doing, which I could not, this made me rage too, is that they said at the very outset, the rules are, we're going to ask a question. The first person gets 2 minutes. The other person gets 2 minutes. Then there's a minute for rebuttal, a minute for rebuttal. They kept not letting Vance rebut.
Right.
So like there would be Tim Walz would say the things and then they would ask Vance another question instead of just letting the conversation happen, which is what is supposed to happen in a debate. That made me crazy. And then they wouldn't do that to Walz. They would let Walz just rebut. And it was, oh my God, they were so unfair.
It was unfair. Yeah.
This was the worst moment is when the scrappiness happened with the Haitians. Here it is.
Your time. Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
Describing the legal process. We have so
Kamala
much to get to, Senator.
Pathway.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala
cut his mic.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We
oh
have
my
so
God.
much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining.
That was infuriating. I know. This is the thing. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We don't want to hear the facts because we're skewed here, right? I mean, we are liberal moderators. We just want to hear what Tim Walz has to say. This stuff's not happening. No, this stuff's not going on in these towns. We don't live there. We don't know anything about it, but it's not happening. They're there.
Yeah, and a couple of reactions midstream. Eric Erickson was like, good grief, these are terrible lecturing moderators who insist that they're not fact-checking and then are fact-checking. Can we please just let Jake Tapper and Dana Bash and Brett Baer do all future debates?
And do we really want them? Do we really want those people
well,
to do
they
it?
were good. I mean, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, to their credit, did it okay. Like when they were the moderators, they were not anywhere near as bad as these two bitches.
God, they're just terrible. No, they really are bitches. They are.
God, it's awful. I loved Charlie Kirk saying JD is doing so well against these three women.
That's the greatest. I didn't see that. That's fantastic.
And in addition to the fact checking that they weren't supposed to do, they also just for no reason editorialized. And here's a great example of what I mean by that. Nora O'Donnell, when they were talking about climate change, she just decided to throw in her own nonsense. Here is that moment.
Governor, your time is up. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that the Earth's climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. Margaret, thank you.
I'm sorry. What the hell?
It's the overwhelming consensus, you guys. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's not debate moderation.
Oh my God.
Let's put in my own 2 cents. I mean, this is nuts. We never used to see this stuff. Remember growing up when you'd watch debates, you never saw this garbage. It's garbage.
Complete garbage. Ari was very frustrated too. Ari Fleischer saying the moderators keep asking Walz if he wants to rebut what Vance says. They don't offer Vance the chance to do the same with Walz. And instead, the moderators ask Vance another question. Yeah, just like we just pointed out.
What they're doing.
God, that was so infuriating.
Obvious.
And Andy McCarthy says, CBS doesn't think anyone sees this. When they ask Vance to respond, they load the question to shield Walz's last answer. And when they ask Walz to respond, it's however you want to respond, big guy. And still, Vance is in command, despite everything stacked against him.
Yep, he still was. He still won it, which should show you everything. Yeah.
Yep. There was a really terrible moment for Walz when he got asked to explain his lying about being in Hong Kong during Tiananmen Square. And so he just like he did with that dual interview that he did with Dana and Kamala when they asked him about the stolen valor stuff, and he was just like, "Oh, I misspoke," or whatever it was that he said. Grammar, I don't know grammar. This time he like says, "I'm a knucklehead," which I'm not disagreeing.
Right.
But this was the only moment that I thought the moderators did okay in trying to get him to answer directly the question. And man, did he ever screw it up. You have to hear this whole thing in context. So it runs just a little bit longer than the other clips.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything. Many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be
what the hell?
Praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Oh,
what?
Thank you, Governor. Senator Vance.
That was a miserable answer. And see, that's the thing. I mean, he could have gone for the jugular on that because I feel like that was a missed opportunity there. Because Vance could have been like, yeah, you misspeak on a lot, kind of like your stolen valor. That's where I would have been like, bam.
Yes, exactly.
And I just like, and he didn't take the opportunity to do that, and he does because you misspeak a lot. And for a knucklehead, I feel like he was like cutting down the people of his state because he's like, listen, I'm a knucklehead, and they elected me anyway. And it's like, well, that's a testament to the people in your state because you're an idiot. And you're basically saying, I'm an idiot who misspeaks, but look at me, I got elected.
I love that Trump posted this on True Social, a picture of Barack saying, I need a VP dumber than me. And then Biden saying, I need a VP dumber than me. And it just keeps going down the line until we have Walz.
Very folksy, you guys.
Who, by the way, made the oddest comment about befriending school shooters, which is getting a lot of even yet today.
I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look,
I'm sorry, but what? What the hell was that? What was that?
Of course, people on Twitter are saying, no, he's friends with victims of school shootings. And I'm like, that's not what he said. But that's not what.
Well, he's a knucklehead, so
he misspeaks. Okay, well, that'll be great on the world stage. It'll be great when he misspeaks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This was a great moment with Vance talking about how he felt for the plight, I guess, for lack of a better word, of Tim Walz at this debate. And here's why.
Right? Honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles. I hope
that was beautiful.
It was. I also wish, though, that he would have gone after his record more. Because, you know, Vance focused on Trump's record, which was a beautiful thing to do, because I think his record speaks for itself, and Vance's record speaks for itself. And Walz couldn't go after Vance's record, nor could he really. I mean, he could try to go after Trump's record, but it's like, dude, we were way better off when Trump was in office. But one of the things that I think was another miss for Vance, which I think he did great, but he missed the opportunity to go after Walz's record, which is dismal in the state of Minnesota. I mean, he is a shitty governor like that. Why can't people who are here that live in Minnesota are like, he's ruined the state? He could have totally ripped him apart when it comes to that, because he tried to act like I'm the greatest governor ever. And it's like, but you're not. I mean, you let everything burn there during the riots. I mean, people talk about that. There's all sorts of stuff he could have pointed out. Like, even Minneapolis is the first major city to allow Islamic prayer calls over speakers. Like, do you think they'd allow that with Christianity? Do you think they'd allow that with Judaism? Like, there's all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of decay in that state. And a lot of that has to do, we talked to Michelle Tafoya about that the other day. She's from there, and she's like, our state is not doing well from an education standpoint. He was a teacher, for crying out loud. You think that would be like a number one thing for him? There's so many things he could have ticked away at when it comes to just like, you have destroyed a state, so why should we put you in charge of the country?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a bad idea, you know?
Well, and he also had a miss, I think, when it came to the big fat lie that Tim Walz told about that chick that died after getting a medical abortion. And because of course he tries to blame that on Trump abortion bans, which aren't a thing.
No.
And Vance was too kind, I thought, in this moment.
I thought so
you're
too.
going to hear first Walz, and then I'll just let Vance, you'll just hear the response all together.
A woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth.
Senator.
May I respond to that? First of all, Governor, I agree with you. Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was. And maybe you're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me, but as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think, whether you're pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric.
It's absolutely true.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting engaged, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. Families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Oh my gosh. It
is what it says.
He's
a big fat liar, and here's a whole bunch of headlines to prove it. So, I mean, the evidence is everywhere, and of course, this is the time when Margaret could have fact checked, but you know, she's not going to do that.
And it's the PRO Act too. It means that a woman has the right to abort any baby for any reason at any time up to birth. And I mean, it's like it's gross.
Yeah. And the lies too about not just that woman, Amber, but also this constant lying about Trump and his own position, saying that there's going to be a Trump abortion ban, that he's going to sign it into law, even though Trump has said a bazillion times that that is not the case. And it led Trump into an all caps rage. Please read.
Everyone knows I would not support a federal abortion ban under any circumstances and would, in fact, veto it because it is up to the states, which he also said that, to decide based on the will of their voters, the will of the people, like Ronald Reagan before me. I fully support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I do not support the Democrats' radical position of late-term abortion, like, as an example, in the 7th, 8th, or 9th month, or in case there is any question, the possibility of execution of the baby after birth. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love that so much.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I mean, and it's true. Like, and he had the audacity to bring up Project 2025 again.
I know.
Last night, I was like, "What is this guy doing?" But people will fall for it. People be like, "Oh yeah, Project 2025. They're going to have like some sort of a database, or they're going to track women." What is that nonsense? They're not going to do that, you guys. My God, we're not going to do that. Just stop. That is such an utter lie. I get so tired of that. It's just such fear mongering, and it's ridiculous. All Trump did was return it to the states where it should be. That's honestly, like, our founders would be proud of him for that. That's the
federalism. Hello.
Right. Does anybody read the Constitution anymore? Do we even teach that in schools? Good Lord.
You got to appreciate when Democrats, and I know we've talked about getting Anna Kasparian to finally just take the red pill already.
Right,
and
just take it.
She's one of the few that is honest about the lies that her side tells. And one of the things that they constantly say, and last night's debate was no exception, they will try to pretend as though Trump created record unemployment with his policies. And she even called this out which I really, really appreciated. She tweeted about this about midway through and said, honestly, it drives me crazy when Dems allege that unemployment rose by tens of millions under Trump when they know it was due to the COVID shutdowns the Democrats supported and wanted to extend.
Thank you.
And I was
Anna.
really, really glad that she said that.
And everybody knows that. Everybody. It's just so disingenuous for people to say otherwise. Just stop. We're on to you. We know.
Also, Ari Fleischer had a similar wish list to yours and to mine, like the things that he wished would have covered, Vance would have covered. He says, I'm surprised Vance isn't quoting many of Harris's positions from 2019, like banning fracking, confiscating guns, opposing deportations, likening Border Patrol to the KKK, supporting taxpayer-funded sex changes for illegals. He should be doing that.
Yes, I agree. He was, it was really nice, and I appreciated his demeanor. I thought that was, it was nice, but he could have totally gutted her. He could have gutted her and he could have gutted him. And I would have appreciated a little bit of gutting.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They would have, if we would have had all these crap positions, they would have gutted us. Because that's how Democrats, they play dirty. They're disgusting and they're dirty and they scrap. And we need to do that. I've always said that. In our 15 years of doing this, I've always said we've got to be more scrappy. We've got to be able to fight, and and so I wish he would have done a little more of that.
Yeah, I know. After the debate, Tim Walz and his wife went out for pizza and naturally had to have a camera crew with them for that. And so reporters followed along and tried to get him to explain, hey, what did you mean by that whole I'm friends with school shooters thing? And here is how that went.
Governor, you said you become friends with school shooters during the debate. Can you clarify what you meant on that?
Can you clarify what you meant when you said you'd be friends with school shooters?
No, he cannot.
Did you see Gwen? She was like, "Oh, but the one without the pepperoni would be great. Because I get gassy when I have pepperoni in my jazzercise class the next day."
Oh my God. If he misspoke, why not just like be in a huge rush to say that and say, obviously I meant whatever it was that he meant,
He doesn't, he's talking to reporters.
Yeah, he can't do that. Okay, let's hear what Chris Hayes, because some of the reaction afterwards was absolutely hysterical. Chris Hayes was, I think this was on the Colbert. I may be wrong about that, but Chris Hayes was asked who he thought won.
I think we know. We know.
Here's what he said.
Say who won? Did you guys come up with an answer?
I think Walz won. I mean, I really do think he won. And
I mean, how can you not?
He's such a bloated version of Rachel Maddow. It's so weird. Every time I see him, it's like, yeah, he's just a puffier version. Yeah.
There was some more. I mean, MSNBC is always ridiculous, but there was a little bit more, at least some honesty on CNN. Abby Phillip trying to be rational here. Dana Bash pushes back a little bit, but I think all in all, they are fair-ish about how it went.
I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here on Walz's part.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe,
He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say that he didn't listen and said when J.D. Vance said one of the many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris, he didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media, it showed. He needed more reps.
He needed more reps. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
And then Scott Jennings. So there were just a couple of different great Scott Jennings moments. Here's the first one. He was just glad that Tim Walz didn't do jazz hands.
He didn't do the jazz hands or whatever, which he does at a lot of the rallies. So that was a step in the right direction from a theatrical perspective. Walz, I mean. I don't understand something. Why is it that, he's like a serial exaggerator or fabricator of his own personal narrative. He's been asked about it twice, once by Dana Bash, once in this debate. And in both cases, he sort of defaulted to some, like in Dana's case, it was, I don't have good grammar. Tonight, I think he said, I'm just a knucklehead. Why can't you just sort of own up to it? I don't understand. I know you said people think he's authentic and that, this is just who he is, but he has clearly gone way over the line on his own personal narrative, something that only he would know the facts of. Yeah. And he's done it repeatedly. And when asked about it, effectively, he's just like, well, I'm too dumb to tell the truth.
Yeah, he's a liar.
Yeah,
he lies. And then when he does, he's like, oh, I just misspoke. I'm just a knucklehead.
Grammar. I'm bad at grammar.
You guys are dumb enough to vote for me. Yeah.
There was also some analysis by Jennings. There's a tiny piece of this that cuts out. I don't know why, and I can't tell you what word he uses because it's just sort of muted for some reason. So I don't know what's wrong with this clip, but it picks right back up very quickly. So I promise it's still worth listening to this.
Pretty clear. Vance outclassed Walz tonight. I mean, I was watching this, and all I could think of was, man, Walz is so.
I don't know what the word is.
This guy sitting in the White House Situation Room with that facial expression that's like 50% sheer terror and 50% extreme bafflement. I mean, it was amazing, the split screen difference between a competent Vance and a totally in over his head Walz.
Yeah.
The answer on why he lied about his trips to China and the Tiananmen Square thing was probably the worst VP debate meltdown since Stockdale in '92. Who am I and why am I here? It was 2.5 minutes of absolute terrible. For Vance, night of redemption. All the political media has told us that Vance was a terrible pick and Walz was going to bring in all these voters. That charade is now over. Walz does not belong at this level of American politics. Vance does. Final verdict, Tim Walz wandered into the wrong bar tonight.
I love that. Alyssa's like, that is unfortunate. I'm a conservative. I really am.
Jake Tapper also tried to be fair, but he was talking to Amy Klobuchar in the spin room. And you can tell that he hates to admit that Vance won.
Yeah.
Like, he's just saying, I mean, if you look at it this way, like, you kind of have to, like, he's almost apologetic for having the right opinion. Check this out.
If one were just going by traditional debate scoring, and again, that's not what this is, J.D. Vance would have won the night. He just was more polished, he was more clean, he pivoted more effectively, etc. Again, that's my opinion.
Don't hit me. Don't hit me, ladies.
Right?
I mean, I know Amy is like really violent with forks when she doesn't get forks on planes for her salad. You remember that story?
Yes.
Don't hurt me, Amy Klobuchar, because I'm going to say something that is true, but it's painful. It's probably something that you don't like to hear. Yeah. It's wow. What a wuss that guy is.
I know.
I swear.
That was so ridiculous.
And Amy Klobuchar is like her little Chihuahua self. No.
There was also an interesting moment, just going back to the moderators and their ridiculous cutting off of Vance in that moment about Springfield. Chris Cuomo called it out, which I thought was interesting. Here he is.
We're talking at one point, Vance wanted to correct something about how Haitians got into this country. And he was right. And the moderators wouldn't let him correct it. It's very interesting. There's nuance to it. But the bigger problem is why he was moved on. We've got so much to get to. Says who? You know what I mean? Like, what is the schedule here? So you have a list of topics? That's not what it's about. It's about how the American people can access these two men and the two theories and the narratives. And you got to let them have their speak, because now you created a story where you're the problem.
Yep.
Yeah. He's
they were the problem, all right.
God, he's right.
I know.
What is going on with these people? It's really weird when Chris Cuomo starts getting red-pilled. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? He's starting to see things, and he's like, this isn't right, because people's free speech is starting to get squelched. I mean, welcome to the party, pal, right? We've been seeing this for like umpteen years. But it is very interesting when people that were very left are starting to see what's happening to people on the right. And they're like, wait, that's not right. That shouldn't have happened. Why is that happening in a free America? Oh my God, that kind of bothers me. It should bother everybody, because it ain't right.
Yeah. Okay, so question, do you think this debate changed anything, changed any minds, made a difference? No.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think it really
I mean,
changed
maybe people who thought, oh, JD Vance is weird, tuned in and saw that he's not.
Oh, yeah, that maybe. But I mean, I still think people are at the point where, I mean, they're not really voting for a vice president. They're voting for the president. And I mean, I think there's one question where they asked about, if you're going to, because you're the last person in the room, you're the person who's going to be in the ear of the president when they're making final decisions. I think if they were listening closely, they would have been like, okay, that actually matters to me. Like, it should matter. And who is going to be the better person in that situation? Obviously, it's JD Vance.
Right.
You don't want Tim Walz doing that. And if something ever happens to the president, do you really want do you really want Tim Walz running the country?
Can you imagine him and Kamala sitting together in a situation room and trying to decide about,
or if
like, hugely consequential world affairs?
Or always think about, what if, God forbid, something happens to the president? You know, I mean, we've had assassination attempts now. So I think to myself, what if something happens to our president? Could happen in this day and age. What if something happens? Say if Kamala became president, what if something happened to her? Could you imagine Walz as the president, you guys? That's terrifying. It's freaking terrifying. I can imagine Vance as the president.
Yeah.
And after last night, I was like, he'd do fine. He would do great.
Would be fine. All right. It is time for your DD.
Okay. You guys, if you ever watched Three's Company back in the day, because I did, I love that show.
I love
Remember
it.
When you were a kid and you would like sit at home and like in the afternoon and watch Three's Company? You guys, I love that show. And John Ritter was so dear. I loved him. And he died he was too young to die. His son, genetics freak me out, because his son looks just like him and he can do a face just like him. And I saw this yesterday and I had to share with you guys.
Is it this one? The one that's like, is it that weird one?
Oh my God. Do you guys remember that? When he would like walk behind the girls and do that face? His son looks just like him. It's uncanny.
I love that.
I know. It's just crazy. And then everything that's happening with the hurricane, I saw this as kind of a sweet story. Although I'm really irritated when people, if there's a disaster that's about to happen, just let your dogs have a chance. Let them have a chance. If they're locked up in crates or cages, just open the crates and the cages and let them just go. If you're not going to try to save them yourself, let them have a chance, because animals are pretty resilient and maybe they can save themselves. I still think that's disgusting, but this was a pretty interesting video. Sweet babies. Oh, I want to take all of them. Oh my God. Every single one of them.
Nice puppy. Come on. Come on.
Dark in a stalemate, and was no. Rock in a hard place, it's better because.
I'm
I
so
don't
happy for them.
I am too. I don't understand people that do that. I just don't. Like, give them a fighting chance, man. Yeah,
I know it. All right, it's time for some MyPillow talks, and we're going to start with a little lesson from an ER nurse who would like to make a request, particularly to men. Can you please stop putting things in your butt? Okay. Can you just stop it?
Just
Because
stop.
this is the kind of thing that she is forced to grapple with in the ER.
Yo, it's Nurse Rachel. What is this? Is that a 12-inch maglite flashlight stuffed in an out hole? You bet your tushy it is. Some people are Team Woody. Not this guy. He's Butt Lightyear all day to infinity and beyond. I don't know if it's because Halloween's coming around and he wanted to be a human jack-o'-lantern, but he did it.
Why?
He was drunk, walked into the ER, and he was like, I have seen the light. Honey, do not do this. This is not bright. Okay? I know you wanted to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but do not stick things where the sun don't shine. Stay out my ER.
Why? Why?
I don't know, but why? And you see these kind of videos on TikTok all the time from ER people showing X-rays. There was one I saw of an actual animal, like a hamster or something.
Okay,
and I was like,
remember the Richard Gere rumors?
I do remember.
We all used to hear the Richard Gere rumors. That poor guy. I mean, I don't even know if it's true or not, but everybody, that's how I don't even remember him from his movies. I just remember him from the hamster rumors. It's
like Officer and a Gentleman, gerbil.
Like, gerbils up your butt. I'm remembering you from the gerbils up your butt. It's going to be on your tombstone, dude. Okay. That's what we're going to remember you by. But why? I don't know why men do this, but a 12-inch maglite, 12 inches. All I can think of is the 12 inches. Not gonna lie, up the butt.
It's just
we
don't
should
understand. Why
we
this
should
is
move
a
on.
thing.
We should totally move.
Yeah,
on.
we're gonna move on to a clip that I've never seen before, and I'm hoping I'm not the only one. If this is old news for you, I apologize, but I laughed so hard at this because it reminded me of our show. So Pat McAfee, who has a show, a very popular one. He had a child call into the show. Now, his show is literally, the entirety of it is just one big giant, hide your kids, hide your wives.
Yeah.
Like, it is not kid appropriate. Okay. And he was mortified when this kid called. And then it just gets kind of amazing and hilarious. And it reminds me of the kids that watch our show.
Our show. Yeah.
And so I hope that this is new to at least somebody out there because it was new to me.
Hi, what's going on, Dano?
Oh, what's up, Pat McAfee?
Dan, you are too young to listen to this show. I can tell through. I think. How old?
I'm not Dan. I am Owen.
Mitt. Owen, how old are you?
It's so different.
I am 8.5.
Oh, that's cute.
8.5. If you're telling us you're half age, you're too young to be listening. That's a record.
Oh my God, you tell us you're half age.
What's on your mind, pal? What do you want to talk about, Owen?
I want to talk about how inspiring this show is and how you're inspiring this whole entire world with how you're talking about sports and how you're talking about your life experience.
Thank you, Owen. Owen, thank you.
Love you, Owen.
Thank you, Owen. I'm taking her on
and
the
also, fuck Boston.
I will let Owen know, if you're still listening, Owen, you're inspiring.
Best kid ever.
Owen, the way you talk about sports is inspiring.
Apparently they've done.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. I'm dying.
I love that.
Oh my God. The guy who tells me that I shouldn't curse and then I can do better, he's going to write again today.
Totally.
He wrote me a long diatribe yesterday. I haven't responded to him because he's like, you know, you can do better. You're a precinct chair. I know you can do it. I know.
He's not going to want to watch my port segment then because I was. I said the things.
He has faith in me, Mock. He says that I can do better. Like I really need to try harder to do better because
Has he lost all faith in me already? Like I am.
Well, I don't know about.
There's no hope for me.
I don't know about you, but I think he thinks that it's me and I'm the problem, and it's because I curse so much, and I think a lot of people that watch this show, they don't know our backgrounds. That's one thing that it's just interesting to me. Like nobody really know. Well, I say nobody. A lot of people do, but then there's some people that don't. And Mock and I worked in corporate America I've worked in corporate America for the better part of 3 decades. Mm-hmm. I conformed to that world, that and academia I worked in. I had 2 jobs at once. I mean, I worked double jobs. I've conformed for almost 3 decades. I don't have to conform anymore. And so I'm not going to do that. I worked a really long time to be able to do this with my best friend, and I'm not going to conform for anybody. And Rhonda just said, I think this is a really important thing. And I talk to my kids about this all the time because my kids are very good kids, conservative, good kids, but words are just words. And I totally agree with you, Rhonda, 150%, that somebody decided along the line that the F word is the F word and the S word is the S word and the whatever word is the whatever word. Somebody, a human being decided that. And I think that's dumb. Like we get so bent out of shape about words. They're just words. It's just words. Like don't let it affect you so much. Calm
down. All right. So this next, because now I'm so happy because remember how cats were just like completely consuming my entire algorithm. And now I'm starting to get more dogs again, which is great. So I started to watch this video and I was immediately like, what? This is the dumbest study I've ever seen ever. But happily, the video ends with the exact reason that I thought this was the dumbest study ever, as you'll see.
Sleep studies with humans and dogs. If you're able to subconsciously hear your dog breathing near you, you actually go into REM sleep faster and you get better quality hours of sleep.
There's no way that is true.
That is Coda every night. It's like between Coda and my husband, I'm like, I'm going to have to find a whole separate house.
This is why I wear earplugs every night.
I wear earplugs too, and it still doesn't drown it out. I mean, they are just so loud, you guys. Coda is like a 65-year-old man with sleep apnea. We're going to have to get him a CPAP machine, that dog. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God. Also, you know how we're always talking about burning AI with fire?
Yes.
Dogs get it too. Dogs understand it. Dogs were faced with a robot dog and they know this shit ain't right.
They're like,
They're like, that's not, I don't want any part of that.
Why did somebody make a robot dog? Why did somebody do that?
They don't want it.
Yeah, the dog. Of course they don't want it. They don't want that.
That's not normal.
Nobody wants that. Nobody.
And then
everybody wants this.
Look at how helpful this dog is. Isn't that the sweetest?
It's the least he can do. Look at him.
So helpful.
Oh my God.
And then usually we have tons of videos of huskies. Like when the owner goes to see their huskies get very mouthy and loud and talkative. We've shown zillions of those videos. This is interesting because it's the reverse. So normally huskies get loud when they have an owner to talk to, but these huskies are loud because they don't have an owner to talk to. So here's what happens.
There's so many. Oh my gosh.
Did we think I'd gone to work?
Oh my gosh.
They were like, what? We're fine. We're quiet.
They were having a conversation with one another. They're just talking amongst themselves.
And then this husky, we're going to leave it with this one today. This husky has the best way ever of waking up their owner. I love them so much.
I already love him. Oh my God, I love him.
Isn't that the greatest?
The
Oh
greatest.
my gosh,
we don't deserve
so
dogs.
cute.
We do not deserve them, you guys.
All right, we got more thank yous
we do?
to dole out. Yes, we have Kathy Proctor, who said, "Why did the banana go to the doctor? He didn't peel too good."
Oh,
that's from her grandson yesterday, she says.
Oh.
Karen Marisco said, "Unbelievable. He didn't know the law he signed. Scary. I wish they brought up women's sports, parents' rights with trans issues, his radical side." Yeah,
I totally agree. There was a lot that was not brought up. Yep.
Osuki said, "Trump would have spanked all our enemies and they would have run away." C2 Taylors said, "Daisy, thank you for your message on Insta about the Healthy Cell Calming Mood BOGO offer because it arrived yesterday just in time for the debate."
Yay. You need that. Yay.
No Woke 63 said, "Walz is the worst ever. Can we just watch the fall of Minneapolis? Listening to him last night, you would think we live in a utopian society here. Far from it. Go MAGA. Everyone get out and vote."
Yeah.
And then over here on YouTube, Andrea Viola says, "Neither DJT or Vance asked the big question. Why did Kamala lie to the American people about Joe Biden's cognitive decline for the last 3+ years?"
Yeah, there's just been some missed opportunities here along the way.
Yeah. Celine says, "I was disgusted when Tim Walz said the left is pro-women. Why can't you be pro-women and even moderately pro-life to these lunatics? LOL."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or let men into women's sports. I feel like that is another thing he could have gone for the jugular on.
Sue Ritchie says, "Why did the sailors have to stop playing cards? The captain was standing on the deck." Oh, that's the joke she was trying to tell earlier.
The captain was standing on the deck. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Now we get it. Thank you, Sue. Ashley Thompson says, "Happy birthday to my mom, Teresa. She got me hooked on you ladies. So thanks, Mom. We are ready for our girls' trip to Texas meet and greet. P.S. Can we get College Station? Thanks, and Gig'em."
College Station. We don't know where, but College Station would be kind of fun. It's just that getting there is always it's kind of a feat. So we're trying to pick a place where people can actually get there easily.
Yep. W. Bernard says, "Good morning. Even with all the horrible news, I laugh out loud every morning and I thank you. And shout out to my sister Kim and best friend Julie, who I turned on to you all." Thank you.
Thank you.
Curtis 68 says, "When does bread go bad? When you yeast expect it. Take my dough, ladies."
Oh my goodness.
I love that one. Jose Rodriguez, "Morning from Texas. What did one boob say to the other boob? If we don't get support, people will think we're nuts." Ooh, and it's a twofer. He says, "What kind of bees make milk? Now you can take my money. Boobies."
Boobies.
Tracy Fromm says, "My husband and I are a farm family from Minnesota and are so embarrassed by Walz. He has treated the farmers like shit. And last night you would have thought he was our best friend."
Right.
A liar.
He totally acted like he was. It was infuriating.
Karen Elliott says, "I'm with Megyn Kelly. No more debates on corporate media. These hags will always shill for the left. No more. JD is the best I've ever seen."
Yeah. He's amazing.
Jamie, thank you very, very much for that. We very much appreciate it. Very generous. Loria Caldwell says, "What's the German word for constipation?" Far from poopin'. What's the German word for bra? Keeps them from flopping. Love you, jerks. Happy Wednesday.
We're such jerks.
Sherry Fox says, "Have been gone for 12 days. Good to be back. Love my chicks." Thank you, Sherry. Alexander says, "Global warming is not a real thing. They're called seasons and natural disasters. It's a hoax from the government." Yep. Curio 23 says, "What do you call a battle between two redheads?" Ginger beef.
Okay. Okay.
Don Ackley says, "Vance should have taken the time to finally put 2025 to rest when Walz brought it up."
Yeah.
Nothing but lies from Walz. Yep.
Yeah, that was also a miss. I just say that. Like, it's a total lie. Like, why do you guys keep lying? It's a total lie. Yeah.
Andrew Huff says, "Tiananmen Square happened in 1989. Walz said he was in Hong Kong. Hong Kong was under British rule in 1989, so it was part of the British Commonwealth. It was handed back to China in 1997. Because Walz is a moron.
Yeah.
Moron. And Rachel Gerhardt says, "Tim Walz says, I learned a lot about what needed to be in governance when talking about the Tiananmen Square question. What in the actual F?"
Yeah. Yeah. Also should have been questioned.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly did you learn about governance?
Yeah. Because you're not doing it very well.
Yeah.
Jerk.
And what you want to do is a lot like China.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
All right, we got through it.
We're bringing it in.
We got
you guys. We're doing a Sean Spicer show today.
Yeah. We're
So you guys will
in
have
just
to
a little bit.
check that out if you haven't checked that out already. I don't know when that it's going to air. Do we know? Is it
I'm not
live?
sure when it
It's
gets
not
put out.
live.
It's
Yeah.
not live, but he usually gets it out pretty quick. So it'll be sometime, I think by
Today?
this afternoon, it'll be available for sure.
Yeah, so you guys can check that out because I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot about the same stuff, but with Sean Spicer. So you can check that out later today. You guys have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.